And what do you think are the trends for the next 2 years, perhaps?
I think we've seen a few things. I think we've seen a continuation of the blending of formats. There is no true single, genre anymore. Everything is very, very blended, and I think we'll continue to see more, evolution of that. I think we've seen the bar raise on all drama production, whether that be foreign or within Canada, and I think we'll, I hope, continue to see, a real push on the creative front in our scripted programming. I think we are for sure seeing bits and pieces of programming start to spill out onto the other platforms, and I think we'll find more ways for programming to be divided up and all those buzzwords now, repurposed, reused, reformatted to play across more platforms to reach more people in more ways, more of the time. But at the end of the day, I'm a real believer that, great entertainment is great entertainment, and we will make it and they will watch it, and it will all be okay.
And what program have you thought of that would meet those kinds of needs of being repurposed, reprogrammed?
Well, I think we see it, the easiest way to see it is in news and in entertainment. Anything that can be divided up and a story told in 30 seconds is the easiest thing to start to move around. So certainly from the Canwest side, we're starting to play more aggressively with our news content. That's content that we own and control and can spread across platforms. But I think, in some ways more interestingly will be how we take the more traditional entertainment content and find ways to play with character storylines or to play with, the content that's outside the main story and see how we might be able to engage people in thinking about that or creating that, on the other platforms. But honestly, I think we're a long way from that, happening successfully yet. And I have to say success at some point means making some money at it. We're a long way from that yet.
Would you be looking at programming that needs multi-platform windows?
I think our view at the moment would be to not try and force shows into a multi-platform world if they aren't suited to it, but to try and really encourage those that are. On the Alliance Atlantis side, they've had some great success with the websites attached to some of those channels, Food Network and HGTV and Showcase and Slice. All of them have some web presence, but those in particular have had some real success with drawing their own user base that is helping to support the channel and move people back and forth between being users and viewers across the platforms. So we'll continue to find ways to grow that presence. Global has a website where we've been sort of forward thinking, I think, in trying to get the streaming of some of the big, the big top 10 shows. And it's been its own challenge around the rights issues that we face there, but we've had some interesting success there. We've played on the global website with Deal or No Deal Canada and with Fifth Grader and getting some contesting and some games playing happening with our users on those platforms. Canada.com ultimately, I think, is just a support to all those efforts. It's an aggregator essentially, and it's a way for us to continue to aggregate more traffic and move people around. And within Canwest, we're actually drilling down as we speak into trying to figure out exactly how that works and how, as a larger company now, we take best advantage of the role of Canada.com.
Now, do you see a time when you, as Canwest, will be commissioning original programming for that site?
Conceptually, sure, but this year, no.
Bit much.
Too much too fast. I mean, honestly, it's our business is changing really rapidly on us. The margins in our business are changing really rapidly. Understanding the business model behind sort of traditional television is a whole new thing. So I think we're all trying to balance investment in the new spaces against protecting and managing the bottom line of our business in the traditional space. And I think as business people, frankly, we have a responsibility to do that thoughtfully. So we're careful about where and how we play in the new space because we need to be sure we're protecting our back end as well.
Because that's one of the things, as the model changes, advertisers are looking for other places to advertise their goods. So how is Canwest responding to that?
Mostly by listening. I think the ad agencies are trying to figure out with their clients what they really want and what they really mean when they say, I want to be on the web. Like, what does that mean? Where do you want to be? How do you want to be there? How do you expect to reach your consumers differently than your traditional 30-second spot on television? So we're doing a lot of listening and a lot of experimenting. And I think, we've had some interesting, projects. on Slice, Project Runway Canada had some great interaction with clients and interaction with various platforms. So that was a really interesting project that I think would be thought of as very successful. Whether it really made any money or not, maybe is another issue, but it was a very successful experiment. Same thing with Fifth Grader, which had Nintendo as an interesting sponsor that was incorporated into our web presence. So we are trying to, try some of these carefully where the client has interest, where the ad agency, is interested in working with us. But each one is its own case at the moment. There's not a model that's getting rolled out yet. We're sort of trying these on a case-by-case basis.
As an independent producer, what's your advice for emerging producers?
I'm always very impressed with young people who have the bravery to head into the independent production community in Canada. I think it's a spectacular industry to be a part of, but it's tough. It's really tough. It's very, very competitive. You got to slog it out, and my motto of patience and persistence applies probably to emerging producers more than anybody else. I think it does take a ton of patience and persistence when you have an idea and you're just determined to make it happen. I think, the greatest advice that as broadcasters, I think we rather endlessly give to young producers is when you come to pitch a project, know who you're pitching to, know why you think it would be right for them, be knowledgeable about the service and where you think it might fit in the schedule and why they might actually need it. You need to really put yourself in their shoes in addition to being in your own and standing firm on the value you see in your own project, but do your homework.
And can you remember a memorable pitch? Is there anything that stands out for you?
I think as broadcasters, we've been caught by them all. I do recall being at Banff many, many, many years ago, and Glenn Saltzman coming and pitching Dogs with Jobs. And it was one of those that within sort of 30 seconds, it was like, I get it. I get it. That'll work. Let's do that. So it can be that fast. And actually the Guard, when they first came into our office and pitched just the top line idea of the Guard, it just seemed to have that perfect mix of truly being Canadian and yet being a broadly accessible story. So sometimes they're instant, you get it instantly. Sometimes you work around and around and around at something and they come back at you time after time, and a year later you finally go, okay, now I get it. It's having it in that little nugget that somehow just clicks. And sometimes an idea takes a long time to get to that stage. And sometimes it just happens.